Hi, my name is Tyler Garcia, and I like to thank you all for tuning in to Much Ado About Cooking, a podcast for home cooks by home cooks. Today's episode, we talk with JJ Garcia, aka my dad. Um, it was impromptu. My other guest had canceled, unfortunately, but for good reasons. So next episode will be much better. Um, well, not much better, but with our original guest. So I'm so grateful for him for coming on to the show. Uh, I wanted to talk a little bit about, before we started the episode, about my journey with cooking, which is kind of a long journey, kind of not. Um, I started cooking for myself around 2018. I think I was a sophomore in high school, um, or maybe a freshman. No, 2017. I started cooking myself for myself a little bit more because I really needed to lose weight. I still do. Um, but I started cooking for myself because I started to realize, and this is in the nicest way possible, my mom doesn't know how to cook. She knows she doesn't know how to cook. She cooks a lot of spam, a lot of carnitas, a lot of the same tacos, a lot of like little the thin like milanesa, like the thin, super thin steaks. Um, a lot of that stuff, with like just macaroni, beans. Sometimes we'd have corn. Not a lot of veggies in our household, and I realized, wow, I'm getting big, and I need to be healthier because I can't keep on getting new pant sizes because this really sucks. And I also did not like the way that I was eating. It was just so boring and so repetitive. And to combat that, I would ask my dad for some money and I would go get lunch from a lot of fast food places because I was trying to combat, that repetitiveness at home. And, I love my mother. I'm not ungrateful for her cooking, but I needed something more. So I started cooking, eggs here and there. My parents always wanted me to start cooking for myself, my mom especially. Um, Small things, eggs, and when the pandemic hit, I was so bored. Like, yeah, I like playing video games and stuff, but I had time to kill. So when the grocery store started opening up and, I had more opportunities and chances, I started saying, Mom, I need you to get this for me, or I'd go with her and we'd get food. And I started making a bunch of stuff. One meal that I really started to like making, I made it with a friend first. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's kielbasa sausage. Um, it's like this round, like it looks like a kind of U shaped you find under the grocery store in like the packaged meat section. White rice, or he add some seasoning rice, and what else? Oh, and asparagus. Yeah, it's so simple. You just cook the rice, you cook the asparagus, and then you can kind of marinate the sausage in some oil, some pepper, some red pepper flakes, and garlic, onion powder, a bunch of stuff. And you mix it into a bowl, and it's super spicy. You can make it spicy. You don't have to make it spicy. It was really good. And so I started making that for my family. My dad really liked it. We ate it with some hummus and some chips on the side, and it was really good. And it didn't stop from there. I started making, that viral TikTok coffee with I think it's like a Vietnamese coffee, question mark, or it's like some sort of like Asian coffee where they make it like super strong and super whipped, and then they add milk to it, so it's super strong and it's instant powdered coffee. That was really good. I started making bread. It tasted more like Mexican, like bolillo, like pan blanco, like what you use for menudo, a little sweet. Um, but I made bread a lot, and I just did a lot of cooking. I did a lot of baking, and I realized like, oh, okay, I really like this stuff. And so when I went off to college, I was a little bummed that my first apartment only had a community kitchen. So I ate a lot from the dining hall, but I tried my best without a car to go to HEB as much as I possibly could. And I got groceries. And I cooked, some simple stuff. I think I cooked, I cooked some tacos once. I cooked some Spam tacos with a side of beans and rice. And I cooked it to my friends, and I really love cooking for people. So I was really excited when I got my second apartment that same year, because we got kicked out of our first. All of the students did. I cooked a little more. I still didn't have a car, but I had a friend who had a car, so we'd go to HEB with her sometimes, or we'd go on the bus. And then I came back home, cooked a lot more for the summer. And then my sophomore year of college, I cooked so much that I just made so many good meals. I tried making ahi tuna, like seared ahi tuna. That was okay. I tried making Japanese curry. That was okay. But I did. I cooked a lot, and sometimes they were just simple meals, as some would call it, depression meals. But they were meals, and I cooked them. I used the stove. So that was, something. I also started, that's when I entered a relationship, so our love language with my partner and I's love language is cooking. And I started cooking with him in my apartment. I think one day I made gorditas de nata, which is like a gordita, which is like this, like, I think when I made it out was flour, but it's flour, kind of like tortilla, but it's thicker. The outside is hard, and inside I put Nutella or like some chocolate spread or something. And I was like, oh yeah, this is like it all, like all the stuff that I made that year is like, yes, I love cooking. And so when my partner and I moved into this place that we live now, we just cook nonstop. Yes, we get tired of it, because who doesn't get tired of cooking? Sometimes, even chefs go home and the first thing they do is they want to cook. Sometimes they just want to relax. So sometimes we do get we get takeout. But we cook every single day if we can. Yesterday, we made something simple. We made hot dogs. The day before, we made a salad. Sometimes we make rice bowls with like a protein and some veggies, and it's super simple. It doesn't take very long to make. And I think what I'm trying to say is, with my journey, that yes, it took a while. But I make simple things all the time, and it's super easy to make food. Even if it's just like some beans and some rice. You need like 2 pans at the most. Or you need like a rice cooker and a pot. And I know that sometimes cooking isn't accessible for everyone. But there are people that I bring into this podcast that don't have all the, that whole beautiful kitchen space to use. This specific person that I am interviewing in this podcast, he's a truck driver. He's my dad. But he's a truck driver. He only has a microwave, a skillet, and I think that's it. I think he boils stuff in the skillet. But he makes pretty good stuff. He makes hamburgers. He makes omelets, and I think he made chicken wings. He's also made a bunch of other stuff, and all he has is a microwave and a skillet. And he sends pictures of it to us all the time, and it looks really good. He makes it work, and I think this specific episode is really important to people who don't have the means of making glamorous meals. Yes, of course he talks about the meals that he makes at home, but he has passion for it. And yes, he could just go to Taco Bell or Carl's Jr. or Hardee's, whatever they call it in the Northeast. He makes it work, and he's passionate, and he loves cooking. He thinks it's, he wants to be healthy, and sometimes it's not easy to be healthy, especially on the road, but he tries. And this is why it's super important to cook. This is why I believe that this podcast is super important because it shows you everyone's paths to cooking and different ways of life. So yeah, well, I've been rambling for way too long. So without further ado, welcome to this week's episode of Much Ado About Cooking with our guest, JJ Garcia.
Ryan Litzel.
This is Much Ado About Cooking today, and I'm here with JJ, husband, truck driver, father, and home cook. Tell me, JJ, why are you qualified to talk about cooking?
Well, you also forgot to say hot man, okay? Because
Okay,
I'm a hot man.
whatever. Oh my god.
Why do I love cooking? I love cooking to see people's expressions, their happiness. Um, I that's one thing that makes me happy. Every time that I see my kids and my wife and my family, when I serve them, of course, and especially when it's nice and warm, the food and fresh. It's just, I'm just looking at them and I see a smile. That's good enough for me.
And tell me about your journey with cooking. How did you start getting it to do it for yourself?
Well, I mean, my journey is my wife doesn't cook that much, so I have to cook. That's my journey when I got married. My mom used to do everything for me. So I started, cooking for, especially when I had my kids and my daughter and my son, I started making things here and there, experimenting and that's how that's how things started.
So, you are a truck driver. There probably is a lot of, problems that arise with that in terms of like being able to feed yourself in a healthy way. How do you combat that? What do you have to go through in order to get a good meal?
Well, it's a good question because I don't eat. I tend to stay away from junk food.
Okay.
And I think a lot of fast food places are disgusting. And so I do cook here in my truck. And I do buy, try to buy vegetables and like a lot of onion, a lot of garlic, and to make sure that that I get, good meals, good healthy meals. If it's organic, even better. But it's simple. Have my little burner, have my refrigerator, my freezer, and I manage very well to eat healthy.
That's good. It's super important. And I mean, you're sitting in the truck for what, like 8 hours a day? Not really much chance for exercise, I'm guessing. So, you have to combat that by eating healthy. And what are your favorite meals to cook in the
Here in the
truck?
truck or
In the truck.
in the truck. I lately I've been eating burgers, which is not very healthy, but it's I get some protein there, and I put a lot of onion,
Okay.
like lots of onion, queso fresco, and but I do a lot of chicken, like wings and stuff like that. And chicken's one of the things that I cook the most. Eggs.
What is your favorite thing to cook when you're not in the truck?
Pulled pork.
Pulled pork.
Pulled
What do you
pork.
do with that pulled pork?
How do I do it, or what do
Yeah.
I do with it?
Or how do you do it,
Both?
and what do you do with it? Everything.
Okay, so like to me, it's a passion. It's like I like just like, guys. I go happy. It's like my happy moment. I prepare everything. I trim it down. I I make sure that to put a binder. A lot of times I use mustard or um, mustard more than anything, and season it, cook it. I mean, put it in the smoker. I have my wife. She's like, "Oh my God, you have too many grills out there." And so I got to get rid of some, and but I have a smoker and a pellet smoker. I have a box smoker and gas grill, charcoal grill, and like several charcoal grills. And but anyways, going back to the pork, I season it, smoke it for hours. I mean, I think I've taken up to like 18 to 20 hours to smoke, some
Wow.
pork. And you grab it, you take it out, make sure the temperature's right, take it out, put it in the cooler, let it sit for a little bit, bring it outside, carve it, and I just like stare at my family while they're eating. Yeah, that's what I do.
And so is that like your favorite thing to cook, you think?
Yes. Anything that's got to do with smoking,
Mhm.
like pulled pork and brisket, and I haven't tried chicken that much. I mean, I smoked chicken before, like chicken wings, but
Mhm.
I need to get more into that, like smoke a turkey, and I need to get a little bit more into. I don't have time because I'm a truck driver, so
Yeah.
if I get home all the time, I would.
So any opportunity that you get, you try to cook the pulled pork and whatever else try to smoke.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Right now I'm gonna have some few days off, pretty soon, and I will probably will be making beef jerky smoked.
Ooh, nice.
So so beef jerky, and I'm a little bit of a prepper, so I'm canning my food and all that stuff, and make sure I have something, stuff that's gonna stay fresh for a long time. And so I'm gonna start canning, and I'm looking into canning meat as well. It's gonna take me some time to learn all that stuff. And like I said, I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of help. I have to do this while I'm at home. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a passion. I'm like passionate about it.
But this like skill and what you do just didn't come out of nowhere, right? You practiced and you practice cooking, you practice smoking things, you practice, canning, or you're gonna
Mhm.
practice all that, right?
Well,
It
yeah,
just didn't happen
it's
overnight.
no, it's like cooking like regular breakfast and stuff like that. It was out of, like I said, it was out of necessity. My kids, were hungry at home. My wife was working. At the time, I wasn't even working. I got laid off, so I just learned how to do little things here and there, tacos and all that kind of stuff. And um, but I used to have a friend that I saw. That's how he started. He started me smoking me,
Mm,
smoking from, and I started like, well, if that guy can do it, I can do it.
yeah.
So I started experimenting on my own. I think the first time, uh, after like, I think it was my first time that I smoked, was like about 24 hours straight. I didn't know what I was
Wow.
doing. Came out good. Uh, After 24 hours and probably like a case of beer, because I got to sit down, watch the, the cooking process and everything, and stay there, make sure that the charcoal wasn't dying down and all that stuff. Then the first one, everybody's like, "Oh, this is good," and then I started cooking again and more and more and more, and now it's like, I just grab it, boom, 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 vámonos, and it comes out real good. Of course, I use other tools like temperature readers. Before I didn't. I just went by, I just eyeballed it to see if it's good or not. And every time it was juicy. It was nice and juicy, cooked. Everything was real good.
So we're talking about all your good meals that you've made. Do you have any meals that were just not good at all? Like you failed completely?
Uh, Well, like I said, I cook more like like I'm more of a kind of like cook stuff that, like backyard cooking more
Hmm.
than anything. Um, I,
It may be something that you're not proud of. How about that?
well, the things that I'm not proud of is the things that I haven't tried yet. I think my cooking it's okay, it's good. Um, and it's the stuff that I haven't tried. So
Hmm.
whatever I would say I'm not proud of, it's the stuff that I haven't started on.
What would you like to start cooking?
I want to make birria. I want to make chile.
Ah.
I want to start, put it in the blender, cooking those chiles a little bit more. And I mean, making salsas, some crazy salsas with like mango and pineapple and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I want to, being in the truck, it's hard, but when I go
Mhm.
home, um, if I have some time, I want that's what I want to experiment. It's making salsas and making the broth for the birria, which you cook the birria in it and all that
Mhm.
stuff. I mean, I want to get really good with making stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, we're talking about all these like meats and all this goodness stuff, but is there like a healthy meal that you can recommend?
I cook I think the healthiest meal that I think it's to me it's very healthy.
Hmm.
I make in the truck. I do it all at once, and then I kind of like put it in the freezer, which I have to do that because I can't cook every day. Sometimes I'm hungry. But I cook. Um, here goes like a dozen eggs.
Hmm.
I put spinach in it.
Hmm.
I put onions. I put the red peppers, the bell
Okay.
peppers, uh, and then I put, of course, I'm Mexican. I do have I put serranos, real spicy serranos, and then but like I said, I put a lot of spinach in it, and then of course, I put salt, a lot of black pepper. Black pepper is very good for you. I put turmeric, and I also put curry as well. So I put a little bit of butter. I try not to put a lot of oil, which I do use avocado oil. Um, and I put just very very little pure butter, and I put a little bit of like milk sometimes just to make it real nice and
Creamy.
or cream. Yes,
And
very healthy. To me, that's a very healthy meal. I recommend egg. You should eat eggs every day.
do
Every
you
day.
eat the
It's
dozen
good for
eggs in one meal?
no,
No.
no, no,
No, no,
no,
no. Okay.
no,
I was like,
no,
oh,
no,
that's a lot.
no. That's about like 4 meals, maybe.
Okay.
That's about
It's
four
not
meals.
bad.
Yeah, but like I said, a lot of onion, a lot of spinach. It's good for you, both of them.
So we talked about the stuff that you've cooked that you really love making. Is there something that you've cooked this month that is your least favorite meal?
Um, the wings weren't that good.
No.
I think it's also my tools that I have here. I only have like I said, a like a skillet, electric skillet, and I put a little bit of water so I can make sure that they're cooked to the inside, and then I put a little bit of oil, and of course they were marinated already because I did that, and um, it I think it also comes to the equipment that you have, but I didn't like it. I think I mean I ate them because they were there, but I had to put some lemon pepper in order for them to taste a little bit better. So I wasn't happy about that.
So every meal is not, a success and we have stuff that we're not proud of, is what you're saying. I mean, that's
Yes.
what I definitely messed up a few meals. I don't know if you remember um making that it's like sauce like kielbasa sausage with asparagus and hummus and all that stuff. Um a couple of months ago I I tried making it and I put this seasoning. It's called Tuscan seasoning and it has cheese, like dried cheese in there. And I put it on a little too early and I burnt the whole meal. Uh,
Hijo,
so, and not
how we
everything,
learn.
yeah, we live and we learn. And cooking is not just this linear
I,
journey, you know?
and sometimes when I speak to you, you're all like, "Oh, I'm making this, I'm making that." I was like, "Man, this girl goes crazy on some of that stuff. She gets down, you know."
Yeah.
And I envy you. I wish I could just like cook like the stuff that you cook. Oh, Dad, I'm making birria. I'm making bread. I'm like, what the heck? You know, I'm making. Did your mom showed you how to cook? No, I'm just
No,
playing.
she didn't. We're nearing the end of the episode. It was great to have you here on the show. Why do you believe it's important to cook? And what is one piece of advice you would like to give someone who wants to get into cooking for themselves?
Um, it's important for you to cook, and because, like I said earlier, all this all this processed foods and all this fast food places are like totally disgusting. There's a lot of, I mean, people tell me, oh no, get Subway, go Subway. No, no, that's disgusting too. All that stuff, it's bad for you. One of advice that I give you is, and just like I told my daughter when about it, like about life, just get it done. About school, about this and that, just get it done. Get it done. Don't let people discourage you. You go and get a pan, get the oil, get whatever you're gonna get, and just do it. Don't get discouraged by anyone. And if they don't like it, if you do, well, good for you. More power to you. You know.
Yay, that was the end of the episode. Woo! Thank you so much for tuning in to Much Ado About Cooking. I'm Tyler Garcia, your host, and I hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe. Please continue watching my videos. I want this to get out to as many people as possible and hopefully inspire future cooks, inspire people to cook more for themselves or just, be better, make better choices about their health and stuff. I think it's super important to cook. Not only is it super important to know how to cook because, if you're an adult, you should probably know how to cook. But also, it's super healthy for you and you can make it fun. Making cooking fun is essentially the only way, or not the only way, but I think it's super important um, in order to make it not this like boring task, this chore that you have to do. I think that cooking can be fun. I think it's so fun. I mean, yes, of course, I hate the dishes that it creates afterwards, but oh well. I still gotta wash the dishes anyways. If you still get takeout, you still gotta take out the trash. If you put it on a plate, you're still gonna have to wash that plate. So it's a few more dishes. Um, Makes a good meal. I make pasta all the time. Yes, it's a lot of dishes, so just put them in the dishwasher or wash them by hand. But yes, thank you so much. I hope you guys will tune in to next episode and please subscribe. Bye bye.